Workshop that we got invited to. It was an art through activism workshop put on through an organization in Denver, Colorado. But there, under the listing of sponsors, Vitamin Water was one of the sponsors. So this is art through activism, or activism through art workshop sponsored by a drink owned by Coca-Cola. We found that interesting, so we wrote this poem. I might mess it up. Our streets are mummified meadows. We walk across the dead as though the soil's song is but the one we sing for it. Do not mistake the tickle of their outstretched hands for blades of grass. We have stolen stories hidden deep in the ground and replaced them with epitaphs posing as street signs. Our billboards hang like saviors, our God looking down his nose at the world below. Before Western civilization spread its discontent across the ocean, carrying enslavement between pointed teeth, the wind never carried a yoke. No eyes saw tree trunks in the form of dollars. We have built our homes on a story of theft so old and no longer feels like stealing, but tradition. Like a pair of hips so used to being shattered, they only believe in a forced moan. So how does your garden grow? Like a seed planted in soil that was never meant to nourish, its stems growing tall as World Trade Centers, blocking out the sun. Mistaking the girth of our roots for entitlement, we shoplifted our way into a homeland. With every city, strip mall, tennis shoe, or tree stolen, everything consumed in this country came at the cost of somebody else. Organic vegetables picked by migrant workers. Iraqi fossil fuels used to power your recycling plants. The federal government admits that 33% of the continental United States was never ceded by treaty and therefore is still held illegally. Denial is the thriftiest form of abuse. So how can you own something that outlives you? Shoes, trucks, tires, hammers, baby bottles, couches, forks, headlights, swing sets, bullets, a nation race of people all have an expiration date longer than your lungs. Affordable air cannot make its way into a coffin. Our country is built upon the bodies of our previous possessions, but giving thanks to the elevation that their headstones now grant us by naming street signs after slaughtered tribes is like shotting the shoes of a man you've already shot. As though our guilt is the only thing that we've ever really owned, and we offer it to our victims as a consolation prize. Like we're trying to shackle the rising sun for fear of burning through Southwest art about people we keep too poor to afford it. Protest songs sold through a Starbucks record label or activism workshop sponsored by Coca-Cola. Is the message of this poem worth the stranger's back bent to mine the magnet, copper, and aluminum in the microphone it will one day be recited through? Does that make every poet that uses that microphone a hypocrite? Does that make that microphone a slave ship for our words? Salty wind blown through a rusted trumpet, cadence constructed along the curve of a whip. Have you ever mistaken a pair of Levi's for a limp body hanging from a metal tree limb? Do you sleep on a feather bed and nightmare of birds determined to avenge their murdered brethren? When American soil slips through your fingertips, does it feel like a prisoner escaping? Does your chest feel like an earthquake in a biblical prophecy when you hear the word Indian giver?